Midvaal mayor and member of the Democratic Alliance, Bongani Baloyi, has resigned from the party. He has denied all speculation about disgruntlement or purge following a string of resignations from the party by several young black leaders in recent years. Baloyi was the country's youngest mayor when he headed Midvaal, making it the country's most successful example of good governance over the last 14 years. Former DA executive mayor, now Action SA leader, Herman Mashaba joins us for reaction. Mr. Mashaba, very good afternoon to you, and thank you very much for your time. Your initial thought when you heard the news?
Well, it's interesting. Last night I saw in the news that there's going to be a big resignation from the DA. I had no clue or interest in the matter because it had nothing to do with me, and I had no test idea as to who was going to be. I was surprised this morning to hear that it was the former mayor, Baloyi, someone I've admired, someone I've tried when we launched Action SA to bring him into our fold, but I could not really succeed at the time. So it presents an opportunity for us to engage him, and I hope that we succeed this time around. Obviously, I've not had an opportunity to speak to him to find out his plans, whether he's going to remain in politics or whether he's going into the private sector or whatever, because he's too young to retire. So yeah, I will give him a chance after the Christmas festivities to invite him for tea and see if our minds can meet somewhere.
He's been described as a successful example of good governance over the last 14 years, heading up Midvaal. What is it about his leadership qualities that attracts you the most?
Well, I think remember when he took over, he was 24 so as an executive mayor, and over the time when I was the executive mayor of the city of Johannesburg, as much as yes, I was running a much bigger city, I used to really have regular discussions with him. He's a good human being. He's a committed South African. He's a good politician. He's got his love for this country. He's really an epitome of the kind of ethical leadership that Action SA is looking for. So we are going to try our best. We're going to do everything possible. We believe Action SA is the right fit for him if he's going to remain in politics.
Speaking of leadership and Action SA, if I can get your comment on Mr. Kwena Mangope, the son of the late Bophuthatswana leader Lucas Mangope, leading the Northwest Action SA team.
Well, I think this, I tell you, when this opportunity presented itself, at the time, it did not really look possible. And I was happy a few weeks ago when I invited him and his wife for lunch at my home, and we had a very constructive discussion to say that Northwest is in trouble. Northwest is looking for intervention, and the days of some of us being armchair critics are over. Please go out and really save this country that your father so well ran during the dark days of this country's history. I mean, I'm sure most of us, I grew up, born and grew up in Bophuthatswana, obviously at the time really being skeptical of the homeland system, because obviously it was part of the apartheid system. But one thing that we cannot take away from Lucas Mangope was the lawlessness, was the progressiveness, was a man who believed in the rule of law, and his achievement. People of Bophuthatswana had the pride, and people worked. Today, you go to former homeland, former Bophuthatswana areas, unemployment is running at 70% or so. Factories are closed down by COSATU, and my discussion with Kgosi Mangope is that we have to revitalize those factories like I did with the inner city rejuvenation in the city of Johannesburg. Let us take back these businesses, invite the private sector, I'm sure under your leadership, because the business community had confidence in your father. Let us give dignity to our people by giving them employment opportunities automatically.